Hey there, folks. Welcome back to the Skep YouTube channel. Here with Week 1, battling proper in the INT International Nexus Tournament, hosted by Brother Cahoots, who is, conveniently enough, the opponent for Round 1. They are the coach of the Hawaiian Kamo'os. Let's take a look at what we are going to be playing in our Round 1 match versus the commissioner of this league. Here we are with the team, not the whole team on the screen, as I'm going to try to do in future videos. I'm sort of doing this last-minute team preview here. This is Mother Spider, Adamant, Max Attack, Max HP, Araquanid, holding the Mystic Water with Liquidation, Leech Life, Sticky Web, and Mirror Coat. Mirror Coat was just sort of the last option. I wanted Liquidation with the Mystic Water, and I wanted Sticky Web, and I wanted Leech Life, so that's what we're running. For speed control, I'm worried about Scarf, Garchomp, I'm worried about Ogerpon, and I am worried about Greninja, so hopefully this will help us deal with those threats. Secondly, we've got our Spin Blocker. They have Tentacruel, which does match up very well against this Pokemon, but I'm not too worried about Tentacruel with an Ivy Cudgel Ogerpon on our team. Scarf Eruption is our hedge against a Shell Smashed up Torterra. I think at +2 we outspeed even Jolly, or maybe we only outspeed Adamant, so hopefully Sticky Web will come in handy for that as well. Eruption, Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, and Focus Blast. I thought for sure this thing learned Scorching Sands, but it does not. I might drop this thing since its coverage is so ass. Next up, the star of the show here, Ivy Cudgel Man. Ogerpon, fantastic Pokemon. Ivy Cudgel, Hornleech, knockoff Trailblaze. This is this is Timid, Max Speed, Max Special Attack. This is Jolly, Max Attack, Max Speed. Ivy Cudgel, Hornleech, knockoff, and Trailblaze here. I have Trailblaze because if we don't get Sticky Web up, I want some way to outspeed an opposing Hearthflame Ogerpon, and Trailblaze is that. It was going to be Swords Dance otherwise. I really like the other moves this thing gets. Potentially could run Play Rough, but I think Knockoff is good. Our Terra Captain, Iron Mike Flygon here. U-Turn, Earthquake, Fire Punch, Stone Edge with the Choice Scarf as another way to sort of counter lead their own Garchomp. We can sort of sash. If they're Scarf, we won't outspeed. If we're Scarf, we will. So this will just be sort of a way to figure out what kind of Garchomp spread they're running. I anticipate that I will be leading this Pokemon. Oh, I forgot to mention, since we are Choice Scarf, I've invested, I think, 64 speed into this Pokemon because we will never outrun Scarf Garchomp. I figure there's no real need to go max speed. We will outrun Greninja with this Scarf set, so the rest of our EVs are invested into HP, so we are pretty bulky, as you can see. Next, we are running Technician, Chinchilla Man with Bullet Seed, Rock Blast, Knockoff, Tidy Up. Didn't really want to go Stab because I figure they have immunities and they have a lot of resistances to it. And we have good neutral coverage with Rock, Grass, and Dark. And this is really only for removing hazards. I was thinking about going Skill Link Heavy Duty Boots because I am worried about Toxic Spikes, but this should be fine. And finally, we got the Classic Speed Boosted Max Speed, Max Special Attack, Timid, Iron Valiant with Aura Sphere, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, and Vacuum Wave. Nothing super exciting about this other than we can Revenge Kill low HP Bullet Punch Scizor with this set, as well as Greninja, barring any sort of Water Shuriken shenanigans. That's the team we're bringing. I'm feeling kind of confident in it, not super confident. We'll see what we can make happen. This is my first ever 6v6 battle, so I'm going to try not to embarrass myself. Alrighty, folks, so hopping directly into our Week 1 match here. I got the team read kind of right, kind of wrong. I really expected them to be bringing Garchomp potentially as a Rocks lead to our match, and which is why Iron Mike here has the Choice Scarf. As it is, it still looks like a pretty solid lead here. Of course, Theodore with a Choice Scarf for a potential Shell Smash Torterra is what we're looking for. We have Fire Punch on Iron Mike for the Scizor if Theodore has to take itself out, stopping the Torterra. We got the help with Loaded Dice, as I've talked about. Doesn't look like they're going to be relying too much on hazards, barring exactly the Tentacruel. But without seeing the Garchomp, I'm not sure exactly what I want to lead. Iron Mike was my planned lead versus a potential Garchomp lead, but I think I'm probably going to go with it here. So let's see what they lead with and if Iron Mike is able to take it on as well as it would a lead Rocks Garchomp. Okay, here versus Brother Cahoots. I don't know if I said that in the intro or not. Commissioner of the INT. Let's see what they lead with. Choji, the Iron Hands here versus Iron Mike. I think I'm just going to fire off a U-turn here to start off the match. They're going to go for the Fake Out, dealing a little bit of damage to us, a lot more than I would have liked to take, but I mean, this is an Iron Hands. We're still going to go for U-turn, get a pivot going on here, which is where you'll see I make, like, the biggest blunder of the entire match and do something absolutely foolish. Firing off the U-turn, and we are out of here. Massive damage. Insanely powerful. So I've cut out about 45 seconds of waiting here, but I've been just fucking with my little abacus to the next, to the side of my computer, figuring out what I want to switch in to this Iron Hands. Obviously, Theodore's the correct play, because they're definitely going for Drain Punch here, and I can make it miss. Iron Valiant threatens a KO, I think, on the Crackback, so I try to go into that. But too late, we send out our Hazard Remover, and it's just going to eat a fucking Drain Punch and die immediately. Awesome, fantastic play that you've expected from your host, Skep VTuber here. And the help is dead, folks. You really cannot find good help these days. I figure if we just send out Flygon again, my opponent will forget that I just let them kill my Chinchino for free, and they'll make a misplay because of it. I'm just going to go for an Earthquake because I don't think this thing kills me in one hit, and any chip damage is appreciated. They're not going to get, like... They're not going to fully heal off the Earthquake with leftovers plus Drain Punch, so I'm fine with just getting a little bit of damage off on the Iron Hands with this fella here. Earthquake comes out. How much damage will this do? Not as much as we needed, but more than I expected because we get a crit. You hate to see it, but it is what it is. We're going to go down to 105 HP. From the intro, I probably mentioned that this thing is pretty heavily invested into HP. Thank goodness for that. It will allow our Flygon to put in some work later on. Their Iron Hands is a little under half HP. Hopefully that is enough for full health Eruption to clean it up later in the game, or any of our other Pokemon to finish it off. It's definitely within range for Iron Valiant, so I am okay switching out. I know they're going to switch into, what's-his-face, the little fucking Anteater guy, so I want to go into Ogerpon. You see me hovering it, but then I think to myself, like, they have a ton of different plays they could make. Maybe they're going to go into something else. What covers the most ground? And then I think maybe Theodore covers the most ground, so I switch into that. I should have gone into Araquanid instead, expecting them to go into Enamorus, because I do believe we threaten a 2-hit KO with Liquidation, and if nothing else, we threaten to set up webs. They're going to withdraw their little Choji as predicted, and they go into the Flying Fella as... I predicted as well. Should have just gone into Ogerpon and trusted my gut, but I didn't want to, like, go all in on a play that I thought was obvious only to get punished, even though I would have been rewarded for doing that in this particular instance. Just going to hover over my options, decide if I want to stay in. I don't know how much Eruption does to this thing, but I know this thing's very bulky, so we'll see what I end up doing here. I decide to go out into the Spider, which is what I should have done in the first place. We are going to let them get a free turn, do whatever it is they want, but we can potentially kill with Mirror Coat or set up Sticky Webs. Going out into Mother Spider. They're going to get up a Calm Mind. Very scary stuff. So I kind of kicked myself here because I know for a fact they're going to go for Moonblast, and I know I don't die to it. I hover Mirror Coat, but I get scared at thinking they're going to predict the Mirror Coat, even though Mirror Coat is not exactly something you would expect on this Pokemon necessarily. So I should have just clicked it, but I don't end up doing that, and that will forever haunt my mind for the rest of my existence. We are going to just end up clicking Liquidation like a little baby. I knew they were going to go for Moonblast. There was no 50-50 to even be, like, made there. That was just the obvious play, and I should have punished it. We deal over half HP to them, and I figured this thing's going to die anyway. Let's get a Sticky Web off and try to maybe make progress if for some reason we don't end up dying. Maybe they missed the Moonblast, which can't miss. They're going to go for a Draining Kiss, and we are going to live on 8 HP. You love to see it, folks. Mother Spider will be putting webs on our opponent's side of the field, and suddenly our Ogerpon does not need to be afraid of Greninja anymore. and I'm feeling pretty good. Not super good because they still have, you know, their entire Pokemon team. We've barely dented 2 of their incredibly bulky Pokemon. So the match still is not in our favor despite those webs, but those webs are very, very helpful for their faster threats, and hopefully we'll be able to capitalize and make some progress here and maybe pull ourselves out from the not loser's seat, but like maybe put us in control of the match here. We are going to go out into Ogerpon, my Muse, the best Pokemon on my team. This Pokemon's fucking crazy. I was considering going for a knockoff on an expected switch, but Ivy Cudgel is a really free attack, so we'll see what they go into here. They're going to withdraw the Enamorus and send out this guy right here, Torterra. This is very scary, but I did really expect them to be bringing Shell Smash, and webs do help me deal with that particular set. They're going to gain leftovers, and at that point, I know that they are not Shell Smash, or if they are Shell Smash, they are Headlong Rush, which I would have expected them to not be Shell Smash, seeing leftovers, but I'm not good at Pokemon, so I didn't quite come to that conclusion until this turn here. We're going to click Knockoff just because we have Sturdy. I played really fast and loose with this Ogerpon, so they don't have leftovers anymore, and then they go for Iron Defense, and now I know they are a defensive Torterra set, which means I have much less to worry about. I expect them to go for Earthquake here, though in retrospect, it doesn't really make sense for them to do that, just because, like, Ogerpon can't touch them now that they're at +2 defense, so they can just keep setting up on me. But I was like, no, they're gonna go for an attack. They're definitely not gonna push their advantage, even though they're very clearly favored in the lead here. So I go into Iron Mike here, expecting them to go for an Earthquake. They go for Synthesis, and I'm like, well, fuck me. Luckily, we can just U-turn as expected. They are going to go for Iron Defense again. But we're going to get to go into Typhlosion and outspeed it and kill it in one hit. So I am... I'm pretty happy with how we've been able to deal with this Torterra. That Pokemon has not been able to make any progress on our team. It didn't break our Ogerpon Sturdy. It didn't deal any damage to Flygon. And it's not going to do anything to Typhlosion unless they go for an attack here. But I know for a fact that they are not going to go for an attack here. We're going to U-turn, get a little bit of chip damage. Not necessary. And we are going to send out Theodore immediately to try and nip this threat here in the bud. There he is, Theodore, everybody. Say hello. They're going to go for Iron Defense, and I think that was a misplay on their part. I mean, obviously, like, at +4 defense, they're pretty well favored to win the game, but Theodore hasn't been dealt with, so we threaten them out, which removes all the progress that they've made, or we just get a kill here. So this is a very free eruption from us, and we'll see what we can't make happen with it. They are going to Terrastalize, and I think their types are Grass, Steel, and Rock. So if it's Rock, we might be in trouble, but it is not. It is Steel. Not quite sure why they went for that. I mean, I guess it didn't really end up mattering because that's their only Terra Pokemon. But Torterra is dead, and our first kill in this match has been claimed, and we can maybe start pushing our advantage a little bit and see what we can't make happen here. I scarfed this thing exclusively to outspeed +2 Torterra, +2 Adamant Torterra, I think. I think we lose to +2 Jolly. But they send out Naruto here. Something I didn't know was that, or I thought was cute, was that our Kahoot's named after all his Pokemon after Dragon Ball Z characters. And I think this is the green guy from Planet Pickle, right? So we're going to switch out Theodore. We are locked into Eruption, and we are going to take an attack here. I know I'm fast with Ogerpon. I know they can't Terra this thing. I'm not sure if they expect Power Whip on my Ogerpon, but we do, of course, run Horn Leech. So we will force a switch if we switch out Ogerpon, and we're not going to take lethal damage. So that's what I end up switching in here. I hover Iron Valiant so many times in this match thinking I want to send it out, but then I'm like, no, Iron Valiant with a booster energy is a late game cleaner. I need to save it for the late game. Even though with Webs down and Greninja dead, there is literally nothing that Iron Valiant does not outspeed without a booster energy. So I could still send it out. And and be fine. But it's a good thing I end up sending out Ogerpon because they are running Water Shuriken, which I was not expecting. Luckily, we don't take half our HP with Ogerpon, and we are going to outrun them. So it ended up being a smart switch. I think Iron Valiant might have actually died to what's his face, Water Shuriken. So thankfully, we have Ogerpon on deck here, and we don't need to fire off a Trailblaze. I only put Trailblaze on this set because I was afraid of their own Ogerpon. If I had known they weren't going to bring it, I probably just would have run Swords Dance. I was really worried they'd be Focus Sash, but seeing as how they landed 4 Water Shurikens, weren't faster, and I don't think they dealt, and they definitely weren't Specs because they didn't go for Water Shuriken again. They were probably loaded dice. So we do secure the KO and get back to full HP, which allows me to continue playing very recklessly with Ogerpon. I just sort of put this thing in harm's way too many times because I'm like, it has sturdy, it's fine. They are going to go out into Shino, the Scizor, and I'm just going to knock off this Pokemon. I'm not afraid of 2 Bullet Punches, and I'm not really afraid of anything with Sturdy since I outspeed everything on his team, and I don't believe they have a priority user left anymore. So we're going to click Knock Off, just get rid of a potential Choice Band, which is what I expect every Scizor to have. They're going to go for not a Bullet Punch, which means we get a free knockoff. They're going to take we're going to take away their Life Orb. They're going to go for Thief, not Bullet Punch, which is very nice. We're going to take a lot of damage for that, but I know for a fact they're going to go for Bullet Punch now, so we can get a free switch into Scarf Theodore and fire off an Eruption or something else. And there is Theodore, back at it again with the red Scarf. Going to take a Bullet Punch. Easy money. We are going to be faster than that, so we are going to force a switch. We love preventing our opponents from making progress, and something I didn't notice, or didn't mention, we are tied up now, although our Flygon is very weak, our Ogerpon's at half health, and this guy is not going to be super useful anymore. We're going to go for Flamethrower, just trying to get a burn. I knew they were going to go into Tentacruel, but I didn't think Shadow Ball was like that big of a deal. I figure they're going to go for either a Water move or a Rapid Spin, expecting our switch. So I do switch out into Ogerpon again, and they are going to go for Toxic. Really kicking myself for not terastallizing my Flygon before this point, but I was I could have Terra Steeled when I U-turned against the Torterra, but that would make me weak to Drain Punch and not immune to a potential electric move. So this Toxic was very free from them, which means our Ogerpon is on a timer, but that's fine. I am going to just fire off a knockoff. Potentially could have killed it with a Ivy Cudgel crit, but I expected them to, like... I did expect them to Rapid Spin here, but, like, switching into Typhlosion wouldn't have made any progress, so there wasn't really any point. They're going to get to +1, which means they will be faster than me. They could potentially have killed my Ogerpon here with an attack, I think. I don't know how much Scald does, and I'm not going to calc it, but I figured they would end up killing my Ogerpon here, which I was kind of throwing it away to the wolves like an idiot, because Ivy Cudgel is so good against both Scizor and the Flying Fella. They're going to go for a faster rest, which will put them to full HP, but it is not necessarily good enough because Ogerpon's Ivy Cudgel is going to put them right into the red. And since they're going to be sleeping for 2 turns, that Tentacruel is basically just death fodder. So we are going to both withdraw our Pokemon here. They're going to send out Choji, and we are going to send out Theodore and try to maybe get this thing out of our hair with a Scarf Eruption. I do count the beans, and we are... It's a roll to kill from this range, I think. Maybe not after leftovers. But I figure we don't need this thing anymore. We have Fire Punch for their Scizor, and I'm pretty sure Fire Punch from Flygon kills from the HP range they're at now. So I just end up throwing Theodore here to the wolves and letting their little guy kill it in exchange for putting Choji to very low HP. Massive damage! I don't know if Eruption can burn, but it should. And then Theodore is dead, and Iron Hands is not really a factor. I end up going out into Ogerpon just because I figure Ivy Cudgel, I think, kills it from this range. And Ivy Cudgel is the best thing to hit anything they want to switch into. I could have potentially gone out into Iron Valiant. That might have let me get a little more usage out of it than I end up getting. but I figure potentially late game Valiant with a speed boost will be good for some instance, although we'll see if that actually ends up mattering. We're going to send out Ogerpon. Ogerpon's not going to take any damage, thankfully, since we switched it in at the end of the turn. Then we're just going to hit this thing with an Ivy Cudgel. It's the freest move. I spend time calculating how much damage it does, because if it doesn't kill Choji, I don't want to go for it. But it is the freest move we have in our arsenal, so I do end up clicking it. Ivy Cudgel coming out. They do stay in. Choji is dead, and that is the Iron Hands dealt with. We now have Scizor, Tentacruel, which is almost dead, and the little Anteater fella, an Amarysterian, that we have to deal with. And Ogerpon is very good against all of those. The only Pokemon I'm worried about here is the Anteater. So I want to keep my Ogerpon alive. At this point in the match, I'm thinking, like, what's my win condition? Is it Ivy Cudgel or is it Stone Edge? Because that's, of course, the last move on our Flygon. And I decide to bet the farm on Ogerpon, just because Ivy Cudgel is, of course, a better move than Stone Edge. So I make the decision here to showcase why Iron Valiant is the Tier 18, most expensive tier in the draft, mega threat that we all know it to be. And I send it out to get bullet punched by Scizor and die immediately. You're in charge, Iron NB. We're going to eat a Scizor bullet punch. This is just the saddest booster energy of all fucking time. Completely unnecessary for the speed boost. Probably should have not been so damn scared of Greninja. But we're going to go for a Vacuum Wave. I did have this in case their own Ogerpon was Trailblaze or something. We're going to eat a Bullet Punch and die. Basically, this Iron Valiant has done nothing. What a shame. But they are definitely in range of a Flygon Fire Punch, and I'm pretty sure Ogerpon can clean up the match from here. Here goes Iron Mike, and I definitely do not expect my opponent to be expecting me to be using Fire Punch. I do not know if Earthquake would have killed, but I do know that if I did click Earthquake, we would be getting the Anteater in for free. So Fire Punch is still the better play here because we can get a Fire Punch off against the Anteater for a little more chip damage. We're going to Terra Steel, so we live the Bullet Punch. I was so scared of Greninja Specs Battle Bond to Terra Fire, but Terra Fire would have accomplished exactly the same thing as Terra Steel did in this match, and it would have let me check Torterra with Terra Fire Terra Blast. But no matter, we're going to Fire Punch the Scizor, and it dies. Flygon is, of course, not going to be making it to the end of this match, but it will get some chip damage off against the Anteater, so if we weren't already in range of killing it with Ivy Cudgel, we definitely will be after a Fire Punch. There is the Anteater, back at it again. Very high. I'm really worried. I just constantly underestimate Ogerpon. I'm like, there's no way we can kill a Pokemon this bulky, even with Stab super effective, plus like 20% attack from the mask. There's just no way. So we're going to deal damage with Fire Punch. That looks like a little bit of damage, like very little damage, but it's about at 50% now, so I'm very confident, even without them going for Earth Power against my Levitating Pokemon, that they would have been dead to Ivy Cudgel at that range. So I'm not going to say that super mattered, but maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Maybe they're like max physical defense, max HP, although I don't imagine that to be the case. I mean, it could be. Bold Calm Mind doesn't seem too out of character for what a Pokemon like this might run. We're going to go into Ogerpon here. Not going to take any damage. It's all down to whether or not we die. Too toxic. All we have to do is click Ivy Cudgel 2 turns in a row. And will Ogerpon save my Week 1 performance like it saved Kitakami from the Loyal 3 all those years ago? I think the answer is yes, because we are living on 9 HP, and that Tentacruel is fast asleep and slower, and Ivy Cudgel's 100% accurate. I toy around with the idea of clicking Horn Leech just to see if I die to Liquid Ooze, but I don't know how the rulings for Draft League would work if, like, I would be considered the loser of the match. So we're just going to click Ivy Cudgel. I think, no, we've clicked Ivy Cudgel. No, we clicked all of Ogerpon's moves, barring Trailblaze, which makes sense because Trailblaze was only here for the Ogerpon mirror. So that's week 1, folks. We managed to clutch it after an incredibly poor first couple of turns. We were able to turn it around and take the W. God bless Ogerpon. Thank you. Oh, man, thank you. So we're back with the team, and I'm pretty satisfied with pulling that come-from-behind victory out. I was really worried up until we got that chip on the Scizor, and then I felt pretty confident that we could win with a combination of Scarf, Fire Punch, and Ivy Cudgel. But until then, it really was a real roller coaster of a match. I definitely think I could have performed a little better. Obviously, if I had just clicked on sending out Iron Valiant, we would have been fine, especially considering how little it actually ended up doing later in the game. So that's unfortunate. I couldn't get value out of like 2 out of my 4 team members. It really was just the Ogerpon, Flygon, and Hisuian Typhlosion show. But thankfully, they were able to pull it out, and I'm happy. I'm happy they were able to. Very proud of the team and how they performed this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're looking forward to the next battle that I will be uploading next Sunday against the Paradise Protocol. Once again, check the video description for Brother Cahoots' YouTube channel. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.